Welcome to DCSmokeFree Reacts. I'm Mitchell Kilkenny, Tobacco Prevention and Education Program Coordinator for Douglas County. Today, we are reviewing memes. Vaping companies. We don't specifically target teens with our ads. We don't specifically target teens with our ads. So this is a popular, funny SpongeBob one. Vaping companies all the time will tell us they don't target teens with their ads. These are products to help people quit smoking. And that's the persona they put on. But we know that isn't the reality. When all of their actions say otherwise, you know that they're targeting ads. You see, Juul, for instance, use very young-looking people in their commercials, and has lots of ads on social media, places you primarily see youth. There's just a whole host of things that target youth, and there's a good reason for that. So if you are a big bad tobacco company or a vaping company and you want to make a lot of money, well, what should you do? Should you target people who are old and are set in their ways and aren't particularly going to change their habits, like take up vaping or smoking, and also who may not have that long to live, right? If you're 60 or 70, you may not, have a ton of life left. Or if you're a big bad tobacco company, would you rather target youth who are young, innocent, willing to try products that once they try are going to get them addicted? So if you're a big bad tobacco company, you're most likely going to pick the youth, and you're going to pick up a customer who now you have for their entire life because, as we know, smoking, vaping, nicotine use is extremely difficult to quit. Remember Lightning McQueen? He vaped one time, and this is what happened. Ka-chow, pa-pow, my brother. That's kind of funny. Vaping certainly affects your lungs and takes the sparkle out of the ka-chow. Ka-chow is now a va-pow, my brother. I like the bad graphics. That really highlights the meme. When you only have a little bit of juice left. Ooh. So this one's particularly funny and highlights the addictiveness of tobacco and nicotine in general. When you only have that little bit left, you really are fiending. You really are pursuing that next dose of nicotine. The problem is that nicotine spikes. So it's in your body for a little bit and then kind of goes down and then up, and then, it has a very short half-life, and so it isn't in your system for very long. And so you need more and more and more nicotine to have that same high. Your lungs before vaping. Your lungs after breathing in formaldehyde from a vape. Ugh. So there is formaldehyde certainly in cigarettes, and there's also a small amount of formaldehyde in e-cigarettes and vaping. Although it isn't the biggest concern, formaldehyde is actually in quite a few things. So there was a condition called VALI, or vaping-associated lung injury, and that was when it was related back to something called vitamin E acetate, and that instantly damaged lungs, causing lots of lung issues, lots of breathing problems, all of those types of things. We haven't seen those cases recently. And so vaping and nicotine use and smoking in general harms your health in the long run. So the more you use it and the longer you use it, the more damage it's going to cause. You're going to be at higher risk for things like cancer, lung disease, heart disease, so many other conditions. Vaping is so fun and harmless until it causes depression, panic attacks, insomnia, and hot flashes. Yeah. So this is the thing is, if you're a tobacco company, you want to advertise your product as amazing. It's great. It's fun. It's fruity. It's flavorful. All the big F's, I guess. Fun, fruity, flavorful. But you want to hide the other effects, the things like depression, the things like some people can get panic attacks. And not necessarily panic attacks. It makes panic attacks worse. One of the big things that I'm really preaching to youth right now, and teens in particular, in the middle schools and high schools, is that a lot of youth deal with things like anxiety, depression, trying to regulate their mood. All of those things are really difficult when you're that age, and for a lot of reasons. You're dealing with a lot at that age. You have parents breathing down your back. You're trying to fit in at school and have friends. You have all this homework and exams, and you're trying to find your place in the world. And that's not easy. And in fact, I think students today have it harder than we did, had it harder than our parents or the last generation did. They have to deal with things like social media and all these other things that make life so much more difficult. And so we have a lot more youth who are dealing with things like anxiety and depression. Vaping and nicotine in general can make those things feel temporarily better. And what I mean by that is you might have 1 or 2 hits or 3 hits of this vape pen or a nicotine pouch, something like Zyn, and you might feel a little bit of relief for a short amount of time. Because of that, it makes you feel better, so you start using more and more and more of that. The problem is that in the long term, in weeks to months to maybe more than that, you're going to have increased anxiety, you're going to have increased depression, you're going to have all of these mood disorders be worsened because of that substance. And so while it does provide a very tiny little bit of relief initially, in the long run, it's going to be very, very bad for you and make all those things worse. It's important that we know that, so that way we know what's going to happen, what we can expect, and hopefully make informed choices to maybe not use those products. How I vape. Click, 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 click. And then he's kind of looking around the smoke cloud to see his game. First of all, I think it's a little funny that he's kind of ducking out of the way just to see the game he's playing. Like, ooh, that's so fun, and gotta hit it. One of the things that we're seeing with youth vaping use and really just vaping in general is that folks who are using it are getting more and more amounts of nicotine. So I've seen lots of signs and posters in vape shops that say, quit smoking, start vaping. And the idea is it's maybe better for you. But when you're vaping, it's much more accessible, right? You don't have to go outside to use it. You can use it in class. You can use it in your house. It doesn't smell bad. It doesn't make you smell terrible. And so you have this device, this addictive device in your hand, and you continue to use it over and over and over again. I'll tell you a funny story about my sister who vapes, and she was one of the first people who kind of transitioned from smoking to vaping, and my family started calling her Puff Puff because when she smoked cigarettes, she would smoke maybe 3 cigarettes a day, right? She would go outside, smoke, come back in, and not have to worry about it until, several hours later. But when she switched to vaping, she's constantly hitting this thing. And so she got the nickname Puff Puff. And she hated that nickname. It didn't make her feel good at all. And that's a little unfortunate, but the real story is that, this stuff is very addictive. Switching from smoking to vaping may have some small benefits, but there's also some larger risks, like you vape more, you take in more nicotine. You're not improving your health condition or the amount of nicotine that you're not reducing your amount of nicotine, you're actually increasing that amount. Me in 2050, the cool kids who vaped. Oh no. There is some, a little bit of truth to this in that we have an entire generation of teenagers and youth right now who are vaping, who are using the nicotine products. And unfortunately, as a consequence, their health is going to be dramatically worsened over the coming years. And it's not going to happen today or tomorrow or in a year or 2 or 3 years from now. Tobacco use is a slow disease. It takes lots of time to build up, and the health effects take a lot of time to show themselves. And actually, in some cases, not, right? We see things like shortened breath, increases in things like asthma. Those things happen in the short term. But again, when we look at the long term, a lot of these kids are going to have a lot of health issues because they started now. They started in 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade. It's a little disheartening to see that, but that's, again, why we do the work that we do, why we want to spread the word, raise awareness and education around these issues. And hopefully, if you're watching this, you might think, well, maybe I'll quit today. And if you want to do that, we have some resources from you. Check out DCSmokeFree.com, and we can get you a class or get you some resources or whatever it is you may need. Buy a Juul. Look cool doing sick tricks. Get popcorn lung and have to breathe through a tube. Get popcorn lung and have to breathe through a tube. Yeah, not fun. Sometimes popcorn lung you hear as bronchiolitis obliterans, and you get it from inhalation of a chemical called diacetyl. So diacetyl causes popcorn lung, and it's really a terrible lung condition. And yeah, it can make it really difficult to breathe, and even go so much as to you have to breathe through a breathing tube or be on a ventilator. Again, there's a big condition called VALI, or vaping-associated lung injury, and we had lots of incidents of that. We don't see that often anymore, but there certainly is diacetyl we find in vapes all the time. We did a podcast recently with Dr. Stanton Glantz, and what he sort of revealed to us was that these vapes become more toxic the longer they sit on the shelf. So there's a lot of chemicals in vapes, and as they sit there in that e-liquid juice, they continue to react and create more volatile organic compounds. So these are chemicals that are reacting with each other to become worse and worse for your health. And some of these effects, actually many of these effects, we have no idea what they're going to do to your body. My vape, that was on the Death Star. No. Sucks to be him. He lost his vape on the Death Star. Very sad day, especially if he got a very expensive vape. That's all gone now. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for him, it's a good time to quit smoking. So maybe he could check out DCSmokeFree.com and, learn how to quit. Facts. 1 Juul pod contains as much nicotine as 1 pack of cigs. That's a lot of nicotine. So we are oftentimes in these Juuls or in these vaping devices, they have a ton of nicotine. And we're actually seeing quite a few nicotine poisonings. One of the other safety issues that we're seeing too is that these devices oftentimes are left at home by parents or young kids. And when they're around young children who don't know what these devices are, they can get a hold of them, especially around young babies, can put them in their mouth, can do all this. Now, that much nicotine, you can get nicotine poisoning. That is a real thing, and that can kill you. And so it's a major concern to make sure we are keeping these out of the hands of kids and of children, much like you wouldn't want, your child to eat a pack of cigarettes. Me waiting for my friends to quit vaping. Oh, no. That's hard. I think like you, I have lots of friends who vape or smoke, and my job is to help folks either quit vaping or prevent them from starting and provide education around that stuff. So I have some really great friends who I've known for quite a long time, and also friends who I haven't known, very long. But just because they vape doesn't mean I don't hang out with them, but they do know my job and what I do. And when I am around them, I do provide some education. I can't help myself to be like, hey, did you know this or know that? But the good news is a lot of my friends do express the desire to quit. And so, one of my friends in particular, his goal is that when he turns 30, which is in exactly, I think 6 months from now, he is going to quit forever. So we'll see if that happens or not. Just like him, a lot of people out there, actually, I think there's a study that says like 80%, or I can't remember, 60 or 80% of people really want to quit smoking or quit vaping. Even though they have that desire, that wish, it's really tough. And so that's why if you're young out there, you're thinking about these things, or maybe you just tried them a couple of times, it may be good to slow down, to maybe not start or not use as much, because as you continue to use that device, at some point, you're going to really wish that you hadn't. And usually by that time, it's too late and it becomes really difficult to quit, not without a lot of hard work and effort on your part. How y'all look vaping into a bathroom like a clown. A big one that we're seeing, lots of young kids. Vape or draw 25? Yes, sir. Good for him, man. Good for him for drawing all 25 cards instead of vaping. That's the kind of entertainment that I love. When you see the positive effects of not vaping, nothing warms my heart more. Thanks for watching that main review. If you have any questions, concerns, leave them down in the comments. We try to respond to just about as many comments as we can. Thanks for sticking around. If you like this video, check out one here. Or we also have another React video right here you can check out. As always, stay happy and vape free.